So now we have to reflect a little. But this is absolutely brilliant insight. When I read this, I was overjoyed. How wonderfully this has been analyzed. That the question is, why can't the self ever be non-existent? What is Krishna telling here? Krishna is telling the same thing, no? That I was there, you were also there, all these people are also there, and they will be continue to be there. So what is he telling actually? That we are actually the self, and the self can never ever be non-existent. Now, how to understand this logically? This is this wonderful analysis. So maybe first time hearing we may not understand all of it, but slowly by reflection we will grasp this wonderful logic. So how is it explained? How do we establish the reality of anything? Yes, correct. In a way he is correct. So what he means to say is, we require knowledge of that thing. So knowledge comes from many forms, not only visual. For example, I see this table. I hear a sound. I smell some nice cooking. So these are called, in Sanskrit, we have already discussed that.
Yes.
These are called what?
Brush?
Bas, yes, finished.
No, brush something.
Abaji, all wiped clean. It is called pramana. How we know. So valid means of knowledge. Only valid means of knowledge can establish the presence of something. Whether something is true or false, whether it exists or does not exist, can only be known when there is some valid proof. If people will tell me there is a flower in the sky. I can't see the flower, nobody can see the flower. What is the proof? So, this is the first thing to understand. To prove the existence of something, you need a valid method of knowing it. Then only we can be confirmed. It is there. First thing. Pramana is required to validate the existence of a thing. Please remember this. And next amazing insight which he gave, the thing to note is that instruments are there. For if I have to see something, what is the instrument? The eye. If I have to hear something, what is the instrument? The ear. Now what is the fun? You see, amazing thing. The same instrument that reveals the presence of a thing also reveals its absence. With the eyes, we see light in a room. How do we know the room is dark, suppose, if we switch off the light? Through the eyes. Is it not? So see, the same instrument which reveals the presence of light, eye is revealing the presence of light. It is the same eyes which are revealing the absence of light. If a person is blindfolded and is asked, tell me, it is light or dark? So he is not aware of anything, nor light, nor darkness. So this is the second point to remember, that the eye that perceives light also perceives its absence. The same instrument. A blind person perceives neither light nor darkness. Similarly with ear. Ear. You hear something, how do we know? Through the ear. but there is no sound outside. How do you know? Through the ear. So the ear is revealing the presence of sound, and it is also revealing absence of sound. So the very principle is this: the very sense organ that reveals the presence of an object also reveals its absence. Okay? So two things. First, in order that a thing is there, and we must have valid proof. We should know that thing. Secondly, the same organ which reveals the presence of something also reveals its absence. Now, what are we investigating here? We are investigating the I, the self. Now, the question is, if the I is to be there, if I am there, somebody must know it. Who is there that knows this I? Tell me.
It's a neighbor.
Huh? Then you must have done something wrong. Ankur,
Self. The absolute self.
don't ponder about here and there. He's throwing out hints here and there. Who knows that I exist?
No.
Oh my God. Who knows that you exist? You know.
Say yourself.
You know that you exist. Nobody else can know. Who knows that I exist? I know that I exist. So when you say I, who is aware of that I? You yourself. No one else knows your I. This means what? The experience of I belongs only to us. No one else can know your I. No one else can know my I. So, you yourself know your I. That is the first thing. It is directly self-known. Now, for this reason, if you sometimes have a chance to go through the Brahma Sutras, they discuss a profound question. So, the scriptures declare the Atman, the self, is not an object of the mind or speech or words. In the Upanishads also it is there. Mind cannot go there, speech cannot go there. So nothing can go there. So now the question is raised, if the self cannot be grasped by thought or language, how can it ever be taught or known? For everything we know or describe is either through speech or mind, vak, mana. Speech cannot exist with the mind, but just to differentiate, it is said, vak, mana. So you say the self is beyond both. So how can it be taught? That is the thing, that is the question. If it cannot be taught at all, then what is the use of the scriptures? Scriptures are there for teaching us the knowledge of the self. You say the self cannot be known through the mind, through speech, then what are the use of the scriptures? So, Acharya, the great Acharya, offers the answer to this question. What is the answer? Nayam ekantena avishaya asmat pratyaya vishayatvat aparokshatvatcha pratyagatma prasiddhi. This is the thing. So what does this mean? It looks complex, but it is very simple. The Sanskrit of Shankaracharya is not that high kind which nobody can understand. He has put these arguments in the simplest words possible. So he says, yes, what you say that the self cannot be known through speech and mind is correct. But na ayam this self is not ekantena, absolutely avishaya, absolutely unknown. Yes, the self cannot be known through the speech or mind, that is correct. But it is not absolutely unknown. Why? Because asmat pratyaya vishayatvat aparokshatvatcha. It is aparoksha. Means what? It is directly known. How is it directly known? By the immediate awareness of I. I know myself. I know that I am. So it is a direct realization. Is it not? It is not through via any media. I am knowing the chair via medium. What? What is that medium? Eyes. So this is called paroksha anubhava, indirect. But here, you don't need any medium to know yourself, to know that you exist. Do we need any medium? I exist. So this self, it is not completely unknown, because everybody is continuously experiencing this self. We are all continuously experiencing that I am there. Because of this experience, pratyagatma prasiddhe. Prasiddhe means it is proved that this pratyagatman is there. The self, individual self, is there. The self is not a remote object to be inferred. You see smoke, then you infer, oh, there is a fire. You don't need to infer that I am there. It is direct, is it not? Most direct thing which can ever be. So it is not to be inferred, nor does it require a medium. It is the very reality that shines as our own direct consciousness. So what does it mean when the scriptures say that self is not an object of mind or speech? This does not mean that the self is unknown absolutely. What it means is that the self cannot be known as an external object, separate from oneself. The eyes cannot see the eyes, because it is through the eyes that we see. So, naturally, you cannot separate yourself from yourself and say I am this self. How can you do that? This is what the scriptures mean when they say that it is not a vishaya, it is not a subject of speech or mind. Through the mind, what do we know? External objects. Mind connects with the sense organ. I see something. What is it? Goes to the mind. Mind says, yes, computer. I had seen this object before. What was it? Chair. Immediately this happens very fast. So immediately we know this is a chair. But to know that I exist, we don't need anything. So when you say that the self cannot be known by the speech or mind, that is correct. But what does it mean? Not that the self is completely unknown. It means that the self can never be objectified. So he has explained it very beautifully. Your physical eye cannot turn back and perceive itself directly. That much is certain. Now how he explains? Yet, when an eye doctor examines you, he tells you, read these letters. Is it not? So you could have said, doctor, I have given you your fees. Why don't you read for me? Why don't you read for me? So, can the doctor ever say whether your eyes are seeing clearly or not? No. Only you can know whether you see or not. So your I, EYEI, is examining itself. How wonderfully he has put it.
Yes, beautiful.
Your eye can only tell whether it cannot see properly or it can see properly. Nobody else can do it. So when we say the eye cannot see the eye means what? You cannot take out the eye and see it with another eye. That is the problem. So when we say the eye cannot see the eye means what? We mean that the physical organ cannot see itself as an object. Yet the power of seeing which lies within the eye is self-revealed. It is known by the one who possesses it. I know my eyes are good or not. I know when I cannot see clearly. No doctor in the world can tell me. So another person can see only the external form of my eye. But the very fact that my eye sees, only I know. Whether I am seeing or not, who can tell? No doctor in the world can tell. Only I can tell. Only my eye can tell that my eye sees. EYEI. In the same way, everyone sees the body of Bhishma, Drona, Duryodhana, but only Bhishma himself can experience the inner awareness that I am Bhishma. Nobody else can do that. Duryodhana cannot feel I am Bhishma. Karna cannot feel I am Bhishma. So, when the scriptures declare that the Atman is not an object of the mind or speech, the meaning is that it cannot be known as something apart from oneself. But when it is known in identity with oneself, it is immediately understood. For in the very cognition I, the self is revealed. So if the self is revealed, then we already have self-knowledge. No. It is revealed, but it is mixed up. It is confused because of the false identification. So a person, suppose he dresses up as a king, and after 10 years he forgets who he was. He thinks he is a king now exactly. So he knows himself, but he knows himself mistakenly. So now also we know ourselves, because without the self you cannot know anything. Through the self we know everything. But we don't see it correctly. We are identifying ourselves with something which we are not. So the self is not utterly unknowable. It is not known as something other, but it is always known as I am. Now come to the original question. Why the self cannot be non-existent ever? Suppose, for argument's sake, we say that the self does not exist. It is not. And okay, मान लिया, let us assume it. So if we are confirmed about the absence of anything, there must be knowledge confirming it here also. As in the presence of something, absence also there must be knowledge. Both are knowledge related. So when there is light, I have knowledge of the light. When there is no light, I have the knowledge of the absence also. Otherwise, who will say there is no light? So if there is no self, there must be knowledge about its absence also. Now who can know that the self is not there?
Yourself.
So,
If you are knowing that the self is, if you are knowing that you are not there, it is absurd. I am not there. This sentence can never make any sense. Because who is saying I am not there? I am saying. This is the main solution. To know that the self is not. The self first must exist to know. Is it not? If I am not, how can I ever know I am not? When the body perishes, others may know his body is gone. That is another thing. When the mind is not working properly, people will say, oh, he is gone off his bonkers. But whether I continue or not, that can only be known by me. So prior non-existence, prag-abhava of the self can never be known by anybody. Something which can never be known by anybody cannot exist. The absence of an effect before it comes into existence is prag-abhava, we have seen. It is obvious that no one can witness his own absence. So, there can never be any proof of the self's non-existence. So, the self can never be non-existent. That is what Shri Krishna says. What is not established by any valid means of knowledge is just blindness, blind belief. It has no value anyway. So those who believe without any evidence that I did not exist before birth, I will not exist after my death, they are actually blind believers. It is illogical. Those who contradict, those who deny rebirth, they are illogical. They are actually superstitious. Yeah, logic says it. We have proved this logic. It's nothing, it's not a question of believing anything. So the real superstition is denying the eternal continuity of the self. That is the real superstition. So I think you heard enough, and
Yes.
I have got Tylenol upstairs. I can bring all.
Good Ganas,
But it is so fascinating. It's amazing.